Recorded live here in our studios in Philadelphia, it is Say She She with a performance of Cut and Rewind. It is the title track to their third studio album, which is available now. Joining me are Pia Malik, Sabrina Cunningham, and Naya Brown of Say She She. I'm Stephen Kaleo, contributing host at World Cafe. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
It's been lovely.
Absolutely. How you been? How are things?
Great. I mean, today is like a dream because we've been dreaming about coming and playing here for years together, haven't we?
Sure have.
And the first time we did it was as a backing singer for a group called Chicano Batman. And me and I were like, one day.
And now you're here as your own band. That's so awesome.
Yeah,
it's been great. We're on a big U.S. tour right now, kind of performing all the new songs off of the album, which has been lovely. And we hit New York tomorrow. So that's where we started the band. So we're excited to head to New York.
Yeah.
And of course tonight here in Philly.
Yeah. And you bring up, the band is a New York story. Couldn't get any better of how the band started in Brooklyn. But now, if I understand correctly, Say She She has become a multi-time zone band spreading across the country. I mean, I would love to know a little bit about being in a group where, you all start together in this close-knit, become fast friends, but now, New York, DC area, Los Angeles. How does that change the dynamic of the band?
I mean, it doesn't really, because when we're on the road, we're on the road. So it doesn't really matter where you live. We just get together before tours and have maybe a one-day of rehearsal or something, 2 at most.
Yeah, and then we get together for songwriting in LA mostly. So our producer is Sergio Rios' studio out there in North Hollywood called Killian Sound. So that's where we've been recording the last 2 albums. So it's, we just come together. It's just hop on the plane.
That's not so bad. So there's not a lot of writing solo generally. Do you write as a trio?
We write as a group with our band, in fact. So there's 7 of us in the room usually, which is really special. And I think it's such a beautiful project because you have the limitations of the day. We do a song a day. And we also have like the limitations of the analog tools we use. And so it kind of really informs the process. Definitely we work well under pressure, I will say that. And there's so many of us that the ideas just generate and we feed off each other's creativity, and you can just, bring a song to life and not get too in your head and too stuck about, overthinking it. It's truly what comes out of us ends up being the song. And I think that has helped us to also, the rehearsals are less necessary because we wrote it together. We all know what you always remember the things that you wrote more than you remember other people's songs, I feel. So,
Well, that's fascinating because 7 people, so almost sounds like a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Like, I don't want to, it's less about is it a democracy, but like, how does that inform, people get protective of their lyrics that they write?
Well, no one touches our lyrics. So, I mean, when I say the other musicians, they write their parts, and maybe Dale comes up with an incredible bass line, and that might spark Dan to come up with and we start the sessions directive as much as we can, hey, there's this idea that we have, this is what we want to talk about. I mean, they never interfere in our lyrics, but they help set the bedrock for our ideas to kind of flow on top of. And we'll bring reference tracks. We try not to just bring one reference track because then sometimes things can get too literal in the translation of it. I think like 2 or 3 different things, if it's like Rotary Connection meets Asha Putli meets Talking Heads, or and it's like maybe the bass line from here is something that we really like, or here's the step down part that we really like, or here's a piece of classical music that what if we reversed it and can we play around with that? They're just such exceptional musicians and so kind of charismatic in their playing that they can take any idea you give them and translate it into something that's nearly done on the spot, really.
Yeah.
And then I think, for the 3 of us, it's like we see it as like a really fun puzzle that we have to piece together. Like each person kind of comes up with a little hook or a little line, and we kind of collectively like decide, okay, that's cool, that can go here, and then somebody builds a harmony on it. Somebody comes up with a lyric here, and then we build off that. So it's quite collaborative and very open, and just it's really fun.
I love it because it almost feels like, there's a little less preciousness of it's like, it's my idea and you have to follow that. It's sort of like we're building a house. It almost sounds like you're building a house together.
Yeah.
I mean, we always say like, we're working to try and write the best song possible. So everybody understands if there's a better idea, then that fits that section or whatever, so it's in service of the song.
Yeah.
And I think that helps, there's so many writing rooms where I don't, of course you can do something where you're like, I wrote the song and I would really love to see, it played out like that. But the beauty of this project is that everyone can contribute in the moment together.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just, sorry.
Well, there's something that's captured. It's like because we love the chemistry that we have, we cherish the chemistry that we have with our band, and when we're in the moment of writing a song, there's something that's captured. It's the energy in the room. So the spirit of the song just really comes through in this type of writing. We will record the instrumental part, and sometimes some of the vocals get from that same day get used in the final recording, but we'll record that day. So it's just really beautiful to capture what's going on in the moment of the day. So
because we have the limitation of the tape machine, so the tape reel, we usually just have 3 takes and then we pick the best of the takes, and it's very, very rare that we'll splice, but sometimes we have spliced little bits of, like if there's a little flub or something in one of the bass notes or something, which is rare if Dale's listening.
But you get an authentic performance, and
it's a
sometimes
live recording.
going back for
sure.
20 takes, you lose sort of
something.
that.
Yeah.
You lose something.
And that's why people get demoitis.
Yep.
And we were like, with this project, let's never get demoitis. Let's just make the demo, the song, good enough to be the song. Let's just keep working at it and don't stop till the day's done. Sometimes we'll be in the studio till 3 or 4 in the morning, editing and playing around, and don't let it go until you've done it.
That sounds like the dream. It really, really does. You're listening to World Cafe. We're here with Say She She. The new album is called Cut and Rewind. So there's one other studio thing that I wanted to stay in, which was that, like, if you can't play these songs live on a stage, you don't cut those songs. Like, talk about that kind of constraint and how that helps you capture the best performances when you're in the studio.
We call it honest music. It's like the truest thing you can do is just perform. And all of us have been performing since we were little, whether it was choirs or girl groups or bands, all the way up until current day. But, there's something beautiful to me about the truest human voice. And even with all its imperfections, that I think that when people hear that, they can relate to it, especially in a world where there's so much overproduction and automation and
Yeah.
kind of noise control and distortion, which all of those things are great, but I think people, especially younger people, do miss just the simple human voice and connection and the vulnerability of that. So I think for us, it's like people will say, "Oh, it sounds really 70s," and I'm like, we've never gone for that per se. It's just I think people think that because they hear, we're singing about very modern things that are relevant to our lives, but I think people hear that old recording and then they associate that with the old,
Production techniques and sort of that sound. Yeah, that makes sense
and
completely.
it's singing around a mic. Sometimes the three of us around one mic to capture group vocals.
And you can't go back and like go into multi-track and like fiddle with it. It's like it's this pure thing, which I think
Yeah.
is so cool.
And you find our harmonies, we find the note together, very quickly and very easily and very naturally. It's always been like that between the three of us, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I was about to ask how quickly did that come, because your first record sounds like you had that in spades already. But like, what if? Here's a great question about sort of vocals and dynamics. Like, do you, as you get more comfortable, and comfort in the term of years being around each other, have you found like how you experiment and play with your harmonies has evolved or changed from maybe being in Brooklyn and everyone just being at a party and singing together, going way back?
I mean, I think, it was very much, it happened so naturally, so quickly. Like the three of us got together and there was a chemistry and a vibe, and we can all sing, we can blend with one another because we do have that experience singing in choirs. But of course, as time goes on, I think we get to know each other and each other's voices very intimately into a point where, we know that Nai's going to hit this crazy high head voice note, and then Pia kind of mans some of the lows. Like there's all sorts of that where we're playing within each other's sort of like limits or breaks or whatever, and finding the sweet spots and then bringing them together.
With the performance, like say Under the Sun, which is what we're going to hear next, can you tell me sort of like maybe how you found your spots for that track in particular and what people can listen to if as they're going to hear this performance in a little bit?
The concept, that song is really about the writer's strike. We were in LA during the writer's strike, and we were kind of talking about how interesting it was, that they were collaborating and banding together, and the collective action that we saw from the writers was something that, being in the music business, we thought, wouldn't that be great if we had banded together and fought against some of the streaming royalties rates and things that a lot of musicians are struggling with.
Yeah.
And it's a very prevalent debate, so maybe not the time for it now, but certainly something that we've been like, scoffing at and wondering about for some time. And we thought, we were just really inspired by that, So the concept for the song came first.
Right. And then I think because the sort of the lyrics and the verses are a little more like serious and, wordy, I think we were trying to approach the chorus. We had sung it first, and then we were like, something's too monotonous here. We need to like switch it up. So on the recording, you can kind of hear it. We switched this sort of like shouty voice, almost like a
Kind of Shangri-La style.
Yeah. And I think that was like that little sweet spot that we kind of found that energy shift made it feel more kind of upbeat and gave it this new life, which is not quite as pretty like the pretty singing on the verses.
And the living under the sun is meant, in LA, just living in this sunshine and just something that we wanted to feature. So that
It
was
was kind of meant to be ironic as well, because it's like you're living
Things are
under the
great.
sunshine
Things
and look
are
at this
great.
gorgeous, amazing place, and it's Hollywood and all the glamour of that, and everything's just seems so perfect. But there are these writers who are struggling, and like everybody's actually on strike, and you're living in the sunshine,
and then living
but
under
you're
the
living
gun.
under the gun.
Yeah.
And that was originally the original title of the song. was
Why did you
Under the
change?
Gun.
Why did you change the name then?
We just feel strongly against guns in general,
Violence,
and feel like we ran a campaign actually that sought to help people sign up to a campaign that Every Town for Gun Safety was also helping, so that people were all voting the right way to get more protections for gun safety laws, and just make it more difficult for people to actually purchase a gun online, which you'd be surprised how fewer limitations there are for buying things online, which I'm like, if you were about to do shady things, you would do that more anonymously. And at gun shows as well, there are less there are less stringent laws against people buying guns at gun shows. Yeah, and we just felt like, let's take the word gun out.
Fair enough.
And also, we don't want to shove any political message down people's throats. That's generally like how we approach the music if we are singing or speaking about something political. So I think, if you realize that sort of as you're listening, that's great. But in the title, Under the Sun
Right.
sounds approachable.
I'm a big fan of those. I forgot who it was. I was talking to about this, where it's like spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. A really great lick, a really great vocal, maybe causes someone to pay a little bit more attention to the lyrics and investigate what's going on underneath. So I like that, as opposed to sort of feeling like heavy-handed. This is a very inviting way for people to understand a little bit more.
For sure.
Awesome. Let's listen to Under the Sun. It's Say She She, recorded live here on World Cafe.
Living in the sunshine, living in the sunshine, living in the sunshine, living in the sunshine. Time plays on my spirit because you write the check, balancing a way down a mountain of death, compromising choices, positions of strength. Power is a light source. It's treated with respect. Power is the light source from which you can collect. Power is the light source when it comes correct. Living in the sunshine, living in the sun, living in the sunshine, living by the gun. Seems like everybody's out of having fun. Living in the sunshine, underground. Big apple and big orange, chasing labor fruit, making time for everyone, marksmen in suits. When one day it's better and thresholds have been met, future films develop, rightful turns on set. Power will be a light source, treated with respect. Power will be a light source to which you can connect. Living in the sunshine, living in the sun, living in the sunshine, living by the gun. Seems like everybody's out of having fun. Living in the sunshine, underneath the sun. Underneath the sun. We under the sun, under the gun, living in the sunshine, under the gun, living in the sunshine, under the gun, living in the sunshine, living in the sunshine, living in the sunshine.
Recorded live on World Cafe, it is Say She She with the performance of Under the Sun. It is from their new album, which is available now, called Cut and Rewind. Hanging out with Sabrina, Naya, and Pia from Say She She, I am Kaleo. So the first album was in some ways a pandemic album, that's something that people can enjoy in their houses while they're stuck there. Silver definitely felt like, hey, we are returning to civilization. This is a live record meant to be experienced live. So when it comes to Cut and Rewind, what was sort of like, was there an overarching thing that you wanted this record to be?
Oh, there was so many things. I think for the first thing we all kind of agreed on is that we wanted to be another bottle of medicine in the cabinet. for people.
Ooh, I like that.
You know, because there's so much going on politically, and you know, to enter the second administration under Trump was very difficult for all of us. The first time was floods of tears, and then getting through that, you know, was getting out of that was a joyful period of time, and then coming back to it just was a thing that made us think, okay, and no time for tears, let's get to work. And you know, it could be very overwhelming, I think, for people to figure out what to do, because there were so many things that were being changed at once. And I think something AOC said, which was just pick one thing that you're good at and you're passionate at and focus on that. And for us, it was like, let's make a record.
Yeah, and the title "Cut and Rewind" it's also just meant to give people an idea of what our lives were like on the road, and just like, you know, grinding, just touring and writing, and it's just so that was how the whole kind of title came about.
The boss lady work ethic.
Yep.
Yeah, we had been touring pretty much nonstop for about 3 years, I think, and yeah, any pocket that we had open, we kind of just booked ourselves in the studio.
Yep.
And so yeah, it was sort of written like kind of piecemeal in that way.
On the road?
In between.
In between like runs.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'd go to LA and hang with the guys,
Yep.
Orgone, and make it there, and then back on the tour.
Yep.
I mean, it would be crazy. It wasn't just one tour. It was like, there was a time where we flew from the south of France all the way from directly, you know, with a couple of flight changes or stopovers to French Canada to Saguenay. Do you remember? I lost the drums, all the cymbals, and then all the way back to New York, and then to the next day back again to Toronto. I mean, it was just, and then we would land in LA at the end of these kinds of crazy runs where it was just incessant, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
How do you recharge when that? I always love asking road warriors that question. People who are putting in hundreds of dates on the road each year. I mean, you sacrifice so much of the regular life to do this, and it's sort of like, how do you sort of go, I can do that. We got another tour, and I know it's great to have fans there, but it's like you still have to have space for yourself to heal and grow and do those sorts of things. So what have you found over the past couple of years that's made it work or helped you sort of keep a fresh mind and voice when you're out there?
I mean, all of us should answer this because it's different for everyone.
Sure,
I'm
yeah,
but
absolutely.
To be honest with you, the studio actually recharges me and energizes me. And being able to make new music without the repetition of playing the old songs. Of course, we love to, you know, what's been so wonderful in putting out multiple records is that now our set is filled with, you know, some of our favorite songs from across the board.
Yeah.
All the albums. And you don't have to just do, you know, the one set of songs that you have.
That I've got, yeah.
And the repertoire grows, and our set list can change, and it's just so much more interesting. So I'm energized by the new music, and then definitely going back into the studio is a completely different mode and mindset. And I just, that's when I feel the most creative, and that's how I recharge for sure.
Awesome. What about you now?
Yeah, I would say that definitely is wonderful. When we're off a tour, I honestly, I don't do anything. I like, if my friends want to hang out, I'm like, sorry guys, I'm not leaving the house. I'm not leaving this house. So it's like a while before I have to link up with my friends and family.
It takes a week, doesn't it? Solid week in bed.
Yeah, you gotta lounge.
2 weeks at least. Well, yeah, but at that time it was rare that we were even home for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks.
So it was rare that we were even, like, I think one year was like the longest I was home was like 2 weeks
Total.
Yeah.
total.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, understandable. What about you, Sabrina? What's your recharge
Oh
like?
goodness. I mean, a little of both. I would say I love being in the studio. It's definitely like works another part of the brain, and it's very cathartic. But I live in Brooklyn, and so I like to order in
No,
really good
that's
food.
Can I just tell you what she actually used to do when she'd come off tour?
Wait, now this
her and
is-
her partner would go to China.
Okay, yes, I do. We traveled a lot in the in-betweens. Okay, sorry.
We'd be like, "Are you mad?"
Yeah.
That's a great.
Okay.
You know what? That's a great flex. If you
forgot
have the
about that.
opportunity to go to China,
Vietnam, Korea,
Taiwan.
China,
Where else did you
Taiwan,
go?
Thailand, to get around.
She doesn't
This,
stop.
I did not bring this up. I would just
I
like
know,
to
it's
point
her
out
fault.
this was not me saying, so how was China?
Well, it was amazing, but it was really great. We had the best time and incredible food. But yeah, I mean, hang out in New York, go see some art galleries, and yeah, recharge that way.
Beautiful. We're hanging out with Say Shishi here on World Cafe. Their new album is called Cut and Rewind. So one of the songs I would like to sort of talk about, because for many reasons, but one of them is because I was born and raised in Chicago. And Chicago has this piece of history and lore, and I don't want to say too much because I want to give you the floor to talk about it, but it's this event that was called Disco Demolition Night. Happened in 1979. First off, I am curious who brought this idea into the room. Who is the person who heard about this and said, I want to write a song about it?
Pia, for sure.
Well, that's not exactly how it started. That definitely, the disco, I Never Had a Disco Life kind of started at the end of recording our second album, Silver. We were celebrating
The end of
the
recording.
completion of the recording, writing our second album. And there was like a little party and
A big party.
Well, it was a big party, just us, just the band.
Yeah.
And we were just having a good time and dancing and singing, and something came
The
up.
riff came up.
A riff came up. I started saying, I never even had a disco life. Like I've never even I forget what made me even say that. I've never even got to live this disco life that everybody is so upset about. Like, why is everybody upset about a disco life? I never even had one of those. And so we just kind of riffed off of that. And so Pia then thought like, oh yes, let's look into that, the disco life. And
Sabrina heard it and was like, wait, what? She was just singing it in the party. And Sabrina captured it and was like, that's really good, and recorded it. She's like, we should so use this on the next album. And we were so joyful and laughing. And she's Sabrina's very good at like,
Capturing.
she hears something and she's like, she will document it and remember it and resurface it and be like, remember this thing?
You got a lot of voice
Otherwise-
memos?
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Thousands.
So
and thousands
many.
And thousands. And they're actually all labeled, and I can find them.
That's the curse. So many musicians are like, yeah, I got hundreds of them, but I have no idea what they are
A
because I
lot
don't
of them,
label them.
yeah, they're fairly organized.
And then when we took it back into the next round of songwriting sessions, you know, that was such a joyful moment, but also what's the meaning and the purpose for that? And then, you know, I had watched this documentary and heard about this story and, you know, was basically sent into tears, floods of tears, because to me, what was the anti-disco, the sort of anti-disco movement in Britain was very different. That was something that was like, okay, the disco movement is represented by these major labels. It's very cookie cutter, you know, homogenization of music. And the, you know, the antithesis of that was like the gritty Brit punk attitude of let's keep it real and let's be who we are and in your face, something that I stand for, you know? And so I'd never really been against this kind of
Anti-disco sentiment.
as much as once I realized what this story represented and how people basically just ended up making it a race issue, and people were burning records that were nothing to do with disco, just black music and gay people's music, and it was like the disco space is this sacred space for people who have been marginalized. They don't, what is mainstream America so angry about? They hardly have any space. You know, we've never even had a mainstream disco life.
Right.
So then it came around, and that's how we.
Disco life, free life. Like, you know,
Yeah.
what is it that you feel when you listen to disco? You feel free. You want to dance. You want to express yourself. You feel liberated. So it's just like, you know.
That freedom of expression also was lived and manifested out in, we were all in New York forever. You know, that underground disco movement that happened in New York is the subculture that I think drew us into like experimenting with this genre. And so that's really, and those were spaces for sure for Black people, brown people, gay people, anybody that was queer, that, you know, or anyone who wasn't sort of this mainstream cookie cutter image of what traditional America was telling you on the TV to be. And so, I think that's what attracted us to the story. And then we thought, well, what if we could rewrite that story? And, you know, in the verses, we tried to bring these baseball analogies. And none of us play baseball, so it was quite fun.
You did great.
Researching different things. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning for our audience who might not be familiar, Disco Demolition Night took place in 1979 in Chicago. Radio station The Loop, DJ Steve Dahl decided to have a promotion where they invited people to bring disco records down to blow up because there was a rock and roll station. It was a bit of a promotion because people weren't coming. And at the time in Chicago, after it happened, there was this sort of, wow, this was a really cool gung-ho moment. And a lot of Chicagoans looked at it with a point of pride. And then as the years went on and people began to interrogate this moment, they realized, particularly in the home of house music that was pioneered by queer men, by black people, that there was an underlying element of racism that even if people weren't willing to acknowledge it, it was there. And so I think it's like a moment that's almost a black eye in the city's history at this point. What they once looked at was something so pridefully is now like, actually, that's really kind of shameful, and it's destructive to the citizens who live there, who created in that environment. So when I saw that you made a song about that, I was like, I thought that was really like a really powerful thing in what you were trying to champion, or what you are championing, rather.
Thank you.
Totally. Should we do a live performance of that? Would that sound good to you?
We're
Sounds
ready.
good to me.
All right, perfect. It's Say She with Disco Life here on World Cafe.
We're taking back the major league, a playing field where all are free. Break the ground, burning bright. 4 more steps in
recorded live here on World Cafe. It is Say She with Disco Life. It is from their new album, which is available now, Cut and Rewind. Hanging out with Pia and Naya and Sabrina from the band. You know, right now, we're in a really tough time for artists to go out and make the art that they want. You know, there have been several bands that have wanted to come to America who are based overseas who can't make the touring thing work. And so they're like, we can't book them for our show because they're stuck in England or whatever the case. Like, you are road warriors. You've toured a lot. But I saw in an article in The Guardian that, like, you know, you have this great tour, I think in the UK or in the EU, and it's like you end up, I'm not sure what out of pocket means, but it sounds like it wasn't as financially rewarding. Like, how do
I
you
would
make...
love to tell you about this because this was one of those things that The Guardian couldn't legally print what the truth was.
Wait a minute. Are we able to legally...
Yes,
Talk
because I'm saying it's an interview and they have different sets of rules. But basically, we actually got embezzled by the booking agent. So our booking agent, who was UK based, did not hold the money that the promoters paid back for the tour in escrow, and she was supposed to. And basically, the next day after she received all the payment for the entire tour, she liquidated the company. So it was a legal liquidation. And because the money wasn't held in escrow, she used it for paying her rent, paying herself a wage, paying her staff's wages. And she used basically our tour money as cash flow for her business and then liquidated. And we have not been able to get the money back because it's a legal liquidation. And she owed the Crown, which is the tax, you know, HMRC, you know, more money than we were owed. So if there was any money, the Crown takes it. That's how it works. So yeah, it's been devastating because that led us to a lot of financial hardship, and we're still trying to recover. The truth is, you know, we're out here working so hard, spreading what we believe is our message and our music and our protest and our voice, and it's hard because we don't want to be silenced and dampened, and we don't want to be held back. But yeah, there's a lot of things that happen in the music business that should be illegal.
Yeah.
So one of the things we hope to do when we have the time and the resource is to help change the law to protect future musicians. So we want to campaign to say that and we have got some friends in Parliament that we're working with right now to help gather that for a bill, for an amendment to an existing bill. Which is to say that if you are a booking agent, you have to have an escrow account, and you are responsible to put all monies received from all promoters for any artists' payouts into that escrow, so that if there was something to do, you know, with a liquidation or something, that money would be protected. Yeah. Because otherwise you end up with a lot of grifters who you wonder, do they just ring up lots of bills on Amex cards so that they can declare bankruptcy in order to take and siphon off these monies from artists?
It rocked our confidence in our team a little bit, and it was
It's a betrayal.
It was an
it really
absolute
hurt
betrayal.
because we had been working with this agent for, you know, I think 3 years or so, 4 years.
Yeah.
So
and it was our big tour at the Roundhouse, sold out shows.
yeah.
It was our biggest tour at the time, and
touring is just expensive as it is. So that on top of it, you know, it really it set us back a little bit. But you know, we're out here. We're still going. We have not
grind, cut and rewind.
exactly.
Right. And I think I love the idea of, it's like, this happened to us. This is so uncool. No other musician should have to go through or experience what we went through. So the idea of trying to find a way to enact legislation or find a way to just essentially protect your fellow musicians from going that, I think that's very... You might be extremely mad right now. I'm extremely mad on your behalf hearing about this. So the idea of trying to find a way to turn it for positive for the future,
And that's
I think
what
is
our
admirable.
music is about. And there's lots of songs on the, you know, that have been in the studio that are currently unreleased that we're working on that are definitely a catharsis for some of the things that happened to us, for sure.
I mean, it feels like, as you know, last record there was Norma, so it's not like being political or being outspoken about your beliefs is something that you've hidden. You've worn it on your sleeve for your records, but it feels like, obviously with this record, it's becoming more and more prevalent to the front of the band. And so we might be expecting more of that on the next record, huh?
I don't think we'll ever change that about our personalities, but and what we care about. We write about our lives and what's going on, and we are engaged. Therefore, our music is going to reflect what's happening in current times. And I have certainly never lived through a time where politics has been so polarized, and where, I remember reading about Huntington's Clash of Civilizations when I was studying my master's many moons ago, and thinking, oh, I'm so glad that we don't live in that world, and I don't really believe that that's a good depiction or what we should be putting out, because then that becomes a manifestation. And basically in that treatise, he's like talking about the two sides of the world being divided by religion. And, never have subscribed to that. And it just feels scary to see we're living at a time where things are so two-party politicized, and that there's such a lack of trust between the two sides, which I don't think has happened before. You used to be able to be conservative or liberal or, as we say in England, or Republican and a Democrat, but you had a sense of shared decency and respect for the other party. And when it was their turn, you would say, okay, tough luck for us, but we'll get through the term, and it's up to us to work harder to win the people in the election the next time. And now I think there's just so much mistrust that you wonder how you might get back to a place where we can have civil discourse again. But we will. We absolutely will. There's
counting
too
on
many
it.
intelligent, free-thinking people to let anything else happen. But it's a moment in history for sure.
This is World Cafe. We are here with Say She. Latest album is out now. It's called Cut and Rewind. One more live performance to get to, and this is my favorite song on the record, no less. So I'm very thankful that you brought it. Plus, there's some really awesome vocal things happening in this that I'm just going to ask, because I was going to call it Doppler harmonies.
We call it the kittens.
We call it the kittens, yeah.
Do all things with love. Tell me a little bit about this song. Okay, who wants to jump in? Sabrina, how about you?
I think the title of the song and that's the lyric and the chorus kind of speaks for itself. It's we're trying to spread the love, and I think it's meant to be a joyful, celebratory sort of song, and it definitely feels that way. I think the kittens that Naya just mentioned, that was almost like a little joke in the studio, but it ended up sticking. Like Naya and I doing these high riffs up in the air.
I never thought that part was going to
I
stick.
know.
And now when we
So
perform
good.
it live, we get cheers. And we're like, what? I can't believe the kittens.
Yeah.
It's just so funny because we're just singing in the rafters there and just trading off. and that's what, before we came up with the title, that's how we described the song. The kitten song, because it was just such a prevalent part and really stood out. But now it seems to be a crowd favorite.
Yeah, I actually think it's more impactful live than it is on the recording, because these two, they have the most incredible range. It's so clear. And if you look at their vocal formation, wave formation on the computer, you'd be surprised. It's so similar. Mine is scratchy and down here, low, and their wave formation looks so identical. There's this air that they both have in their voice. So we had to pan it in the production so that you could tell that it was two different voices, because it was almost so pure.
Right.
The trade-off wasn't evident that it was the two singers. So when you see that live, it's so impressive. They always hit the notes, because they always hit the notes. It's amazing, and it's my favorite thing that we've done in Say She so far. I'm not necessarily a part of that moment at all, but it doesn't matter because I get to bathe in it. Especially if I'm standing in the middle.
Yeah, I gotta
switch
warm
around,
up
but-
just for that
And you
song.
get it from both sides. It's just I'm bathing in this music right now.
I might be off.
It's amazing.
I might be off base here, but one of the reasons why I like it, in particular in the live vocal performances, you do a lot of group harmony, and there's a moment where you get to, in that span of 30 seconds, you get to hear each of your voices individually doing something different and complementing each other. How do you decide when it's going to be I want someone on this verse solo, and then the harmonies come in? How do you sort of find that? Because your voices are so great together, but they're also great individually, and it's nice to have little moments like that where you can see it and it all kind of comes together.
It's kind of when we write the songs, that literally is what happens. It kind of just comes together. It's not like we don't really spend much time saying, "Oh, you do this, you do that, you do that." It kind of just happens in a moment, and if it sounds good and we all like it, it sticks. So we're feeding off of each other, and I mean that's exactly what happened with "Do All Things with Love," and like us trading off, and Pia coming in with the verse and her beautiful longing. You know, it's just like, yeah, that's so moving the way Pia sings those verses. So we kept it. You know, so that's just kind of how it works. It's just like,
And then that breath when she sings "Do All Things with Love," it's like the relief from the melancholy. And I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I think the limitations again of the way that we write the song a day, you could call it limitations, but it feels like such an advantage sometimes to have, maybe constraints is a better word.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
the idea that, I mean, so many bands talk about it. It's like when you give yourself a million options, you get paralyzed. But when you're like,
Right.
hey, we're only recording with 4 tracks today, it forces you to be creative in a way that focuses what you
Right.
want to create. And I think that's
It's like
really
that
right.
postmodernist complex. Like, you've got so many choices, you can't make any.
Welcome to civilization in the 21st century, right? Let's do it. A live performance here in studio with Say She She. It's Do All Things with Love on World Cafe.
Run around till you are found. Round and round,
Recorded live here in Philadelphia, it is Say She She with a performance of Do All Things with Love. It's from the new album Cut and Rewind, which is available now. Huge thanks to Sabrina Cunningham, Naya Brown, and Pia Malik. This was so much fun. Thank you all so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
That's Say She She. We're back in a minute with more World Cafe.